All right, guys. Hey, I just got back into the studio, and I want to tell you before you guys actually get into this show today, I want you to know that this show is the reason why we decided to take Strong Dads out on the road. Strong Dads doing real life. This is a perfect example of us showing you a real guy. His name is Warren, and we're going to get into his world a little bit today. But I'm telling you, he's got a story of redemption, a story of a guy who's out just trying to get it done. But he came up hard, man. He came up with just quite a few things going against him, with his parents divorcing and his dad getting into some drugs. And then all of a sudden, he started repeating the same kind of stuff until it got to a point where it wasn't good. It wasn't good for him, his kids, or anything about it. And you've got to listen to today's story. And, if it hits home with you, that's great. And I hope it helps. But when you're listening to Warren and my conversation today, if somebody's comes to your mind that might be struggling in the same way, that you feel like, I don't know if they're ever going to get help, you got to let them hear this story, because this is exactly what it takes to get people to transition out of drug addiction and try to regain their family back. So I hope you enjoy this show, but I hope it's enjoyed for the right reasons, just because we did this with a purpose, to really show you what redemption is all about. So, in the meantime, if you are struggling with an addiction of some sort, or a broken marriage, or trying to parent your kids, here Strong Dads is a branch of a bigger ministry called Rock Solid Families, and this is where we do marriage and family coaching. So if we can help you, don't sit around and wait for your life to get destroyed and your kids' lives to get destroyed. Come on in, let's get to work. As long as you're willing to drop to your knees and say, I've had enough, that is the best starting place we can be. So again, I hope this show has something for you. And without any more discussion, let's just get right into it. Thanks a lot.
Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart for joining us as a sponsor. Quality Auto Mart was born in 1985. They are owned and operated by Mark and Nancy Repke. Quality Auto Mart provides all the services, repairs, and maintenance for your vehicle's needs, with a 3-year auto parts and labor warranty. They offer complimentary vehicle safety inspection and estimates. Also, they offer a shuttle service, and the 4th oil change is always on them. They are located at 7307 on State Road 46 in Batesville, Indiana. Make sure you give them a call at 812-934-2301.
All right, guys. So welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson, and today we are doing Strong Dads doing real life, and we are out in the field. Literally, we are at a person's house, and I am with a real strong dad doing real life. Let me show you this guy. Hey, Warren, what's up?
How's it going, Merle?
I'm good. So, all right. So we're out here, and Warren, you are an electrician, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so I don't really know what I'm looking at here. We got a main line getting ready to come in here, but I don't see any electric box or any meter or anything. So what are you doing? Are you tearing this place up, or are you putting it together?
We're trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
But so the customer's wanting a kitchen and bathroom upgrade. So since they added so many more circuits to the existing service, we have to go ahead and upgrade their 100 amp service to 200 amps. So out here, we have the new 200 amp service going up all the way to the service head, and it's waiting to be inspected by the county inspector.
Yeah, so it's not hooked to the main feed, is it?
No, not yet.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so then once it gets inspected by the county inspector, then you guys can connect up at the top, right?
Yes.
And then they'll come in and put a meter in.
Yes.
And so what are you doing inside? If you got all new feed coming in, so that means you did away with the old feed. What's the new feed look like? You want to go down and take a look at that?
Let's go check it out.
All right. All right, so we're headed down the basement. This is an old school basement here. Whoa, I don't know if you guys see it, but that thing's not live, is it?
Go ahead.
You know,
Touch it.
you're
No,
not,
it's not live.
I'm not touching any of that yet. I got to know where I'm at. All right, so here we are. We're down in the basement. I hope the lighting's good enough. We got a little bit of lighting. So what do we? I got two huge. I'm taking that. This one here I'm looking at right now is the new feed, right?
Yes, this is the new panel.
Okay, and then this one over here.
This little guy is the existing one.
Okay. Yeah, so that was what was the problem with that? It was only 110?
It wasn't able to hold all the new circuitry.
I got you. Okay.
Amperage wise.
I got you. Okay. So are you going to do away with that eventually, or are you going to keep it as a backup?
No, that's going to get completely demoed. Once this one
Okay.
gets hooked up, get everything rocking and rolling, this one's bye-bye.
All right. Now we got to look at this, because to be real honest with you, I pulled all the wire in my house, but I did not wire my actual panel. What the heck do you got here? And how do you know what goes to what? Get in there and tell me what you're doing.
So right now we're getting all the grounds landed. We got all the circuits pulled into the top. So we're going to land the grounds, then the neutrals. Before I stripped the wires back, I had each one labeled.
Okay.
You know, so K2,
Gotcha.
11, these are all numerical, so I'll know where they'll go.
Gotcha. So we don't want to cross up any feed that goes to the wrong place.
No.
All right. And then so this, I said this is the main, but is this the main right here that I'm looking at, the main
Yeah, so
feed?
this is a service entry coming in from the meter. From
Okay.
The load side.
Yeah. All right. And what is this red and black cable? I mean, it looks like you got some breakers already hanging on there.
So he's going to be the feed for the range, the new range.
Oh, okay. So they're already fed in there and everything.
Yes, we have all the wire ran for the new kitchen and the bathroom, just waiting for hook up with the devices.
All right. So how long you been working on this?
Just about a month.
Okay. And you're doing this in the evenings and stuff, right?
Yeah, a couple hours here, a couple hours there.
So, but in the daytime, you're a full-time electrician, and sometimes you like to go out and moonlight a little bit and pick up some work, right?
Yes.
Can I say that without getting you in any trouble?
No, you're perfect.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, we are doing Strong Dads here. And so part of Strong Dads is the whole idea of us go out doing real work, but bringing Christ into our work and into our family. So how about, Warren, we sit down a little bit and just have a little conversation back and forth about what the whole Christ thing in your life has to do with this work and your family.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, Warren. So how you doing?
Good.
Good. You got a rocker, and I just got to sit back. Yeah. So we're out now on the front porch of the house that you're working at, and so as we talked about, this is Strong Dads doing real life, and I think sometimes Kyle and I talked a lot of different topics over the last 5 years or almost 5 years, just topics about men being men and trying to figure out what your faith is. But Strong Dads doing real life was the whole idea of let's just go out and meet real men just trying to make it. And what's funny is a lot of times guys are like, no, man, like I can't do that. I can't do that. Like we might get hit by lightning if I start talking about God. And we're like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect. We've all got our issues, but there's a reason why we've learned or try to incorporate more of God into what we're doing. So give us a little bit of your backstory if you can.
So, I grew up in Indiana.
Okay.
Mom and dad were together. We were just like normal family. We didn't go to church. Best we did was we prayed at the dinner table.
Okay.
And, we were just typical family. I'd say about around 12 or 13 years old, my mom and dad split. And, my dad he was a great dad. He really was. He provided for the family, and he was a good, loving dad, and drugs took him, and so there was a split, and we moved to the city. You know, we went from Guilford, Indiana to Westwood, Cincinnati.
Okay.
So, and, you know, in school, you know, I grew up, didn't have a father figure. And so, you know, coming up, there really was no direction. So I rolled with a bunch of guys, you know, and similar kind of background.
Yeah.
And we just did what we wanted, and we didn't answer to nobody. And, you know, whatever we seen in front of us, what we want, you know, we pretty much took.
So it's safe to say that's kind of, you opened the door to drugs and alcohol and even girls and sex.
All that, you know,
Yeah.
it was, anything to escape, you know, I think pain from losing my father.
Yeah.
And yeah, it went down that road, you know, drugs, alcohol, you know, sleeping around, and between listening to the music and what was, you know, so-called popular, what the world said, what was, we thought was cool.
Yeah.
You know,
and I bet you were pretty good at that.
Oh yeah.
You know, in other words, you fit in, or you weren't wondering if you should do this. You were probably right out there, because I know you're pretty aggressive and get out there and do it. So I can't imagine you saying, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm only going to do it halfway. I can imagine you thought you were having a good old time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it took years till the consequences start setting in, you know?
Yeah. So, so then you're in your mid-teenage to late teenage years, probably, when a lot of this is coming up, right? And so what kind of consequences started to come home to roost?
The consequences really start hitting, I would say, you know, like in high school, you know, it's like got into a lot of fights, you know, drinking, underage drinking, but that never really stopped. Never really stopped us. And, you know, later on getting out of school, you know, I didn't have no direction, you know, I didn't know where I was going, and I experimented with, you know, hardcore drugs, you know, opiates. And, I went down that road for, you know, many years.
Yeah.
And it led down, just a slate, you know.
When you started with the whole hardcore drug scene, did you even think twice about it? Like, I don't know if I should even do this, or was it like, well, it's in front of me, let's go? How did your brain handle that?
You know, I would say in high school, I despised it, because I seen what it did to my family, and I seen what it did to other people. And I think it was just like being naive, thinking that it wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I seen the consequences, and I, you know, always told myself like, well, that won't happen to me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, experiment with that stuff is, you know, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because I believe any individual, once they realize that they're hooked, it's too late, because the hooks are normally in them too deep. And
so how long, if you can think about, like, from starting hard drugs to you going, man, I'm messed up. How long was that? Months, years?
Dude, it was 15, 16 years.
Wow. Of you back and forth in that, thinking you got it whipped or you can handle it.
No, I knew probably like 5 years in it, like, you know, I wanted a better life, and I knew I was in it bad, but wasn't enough to stop, you know?
Yeah. So how are you paying for all this? Did you have a job? Were you selling and dealing? How's this work?
A little bit of all that,
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning it was, you know, a lot of, you know, selling it, and then, you know, working as well. And then it was just stealing, you know, like it escalated to where it just took everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When did girls or pregnancies or anything like that come in to this story?
I mean, like when you say girls, what do you mean?
Starting to sleep around and
That
the
was
consequences of sleeping around, like making babies.
That started early in high school. You know, it was, and I was about 19, 20 when my oldest daughter was born. And when she was born, I was full-fledged in a heroin addiction and experiencing wasn't a father to her at all.
Yeah. Are you a father to her? I mean, obviously you're her father, but are you in her life at all now?
We do not have an established relationship.
Yeah. How, now at your kind of level of maturity and growing, how does that set with you to know that you haven't been there? I mean, obviously, that's one reason why we're talking. How's that sit with you?
It's like the best way to explain it would be like a crack in my foundation. She's 14, and I haven't had contact with her in probably 7-8 years. And knowing at that age, that she needs her parents more than ever is now, and always has.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sit well. She's taken care of, by her grandparents, and, there's no trust between her grandparents and I, and
so they're basically trying to safeguard her from you because there's no trust, right? I mean, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I can understand that. I mean, do you have a hard time understanding that, or
no,
do you get it?
No. Right now, maybe in the past, when I was, I didn't understand really anything, or but now, I can fully understand and see why, I was the cause of all that,
Yeah. So that's your older daughter, but then, obviously you were not able to be in her life, but then you have 2 other kids, right?
Yes. I have a 5-year-old son, Tommy.
I can see that.
And a 7-year-old daughter.
Okay. So, all right, you're not that family's not connected together. You're not with their mom, right?
No.
So what happened to that? I know the drugs were part of that, but help me understand how that sort of blew that family apart. The drugs and all that.
So the drugs just escalated, when my daughter, when Aria was born, I was still using.
Yeah.
I was at a methadone clinic, and I was trying to break the heroin addiction, and I got out of there for like a couple months. I self-willed it, and but I didn't get no recovery. Or no network, or no healing. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And so my daughter was born, and I started using crystal meth. And I did that for, 4 or 5 years, and the stuff had so tight of a grip on me that was never, my kids were never enough didn't matter,
You woke up in the morning and thought more about how am I going to get my next hit versus saying you love your kids or being with your kids.
Yes. And that went on for 4 or 5 years where I just lived 2 different lives, like, on the surface, I portrayed this person, but on the flip side, I was, I just.
Yeah. Were you able to hold a job and stuff?
Yeah, I held a job.
Okay.
Yeah, I held a job for many years.
Yeah.
And it all just came burning down,
So that's kind of the trick a little bit, because I know a lot of guys, they fool themselves into thinking they're handling drugs or alcohol because at some level they are functional. I mean, you're still able to get up and go to work, but eventually that even came crumbling down.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's get to up to this point. You've heard of God, but God was some distant idea. You never practiced really anything. So how do you and God meet, and what the heck happens here?
Like what happened?
Yeah. Like how did you all of a sudden open your eyes to the whole idea that maybe you were missing something like God and his word, or the love and grace that he has?
So I had always, believed in God, but as far as like following him, them were 2 separate things.
Okay.
And so it all burnt down, and then I ended up attending church, and
was this like during a rehab program or something like that, or just out of nowhere?
You just out of nowhere, because I didn't know where to go. My life was shambles.
Yeah.
I was a plane wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I heard this pastor preach, and it resonated something deep down inside. And I knew that it was going to take something outside. It was going to take God to put me back together. And I always had that belief in the beginning, of the on the road, to the recovery, that it was going to take God to put me back together.
Yeah.
And I believe that he could, and he is. And I ended up going into a sober living house, this lit movement. It's like out of Cincinnati. Yeah. I went in there and started like working the 12 steps and it just took time, and a lot of prayer, and there was a lot of doubt, and like the whole Christ thing in the beginning, I didn't believe, I said I did, but I did, I would read the Bible, and it would make my skin kind of cringe, because it went against everything that I knew or thought I knew.
Yeah.
But reading, I remember there was an elder at the first church I ever attended, and he told me to read the Gospel of John, and I just remember reading them first words, and it was like God sent this. Always think of it like a blow dart, and it just
hit you.
It got me, and it grew and it grew and it grew.
Yeah.
And that's what God does, It's really been him the whole time, working through me. And there was times where it's like just hanging on and for prayer and asking God for strength, and he will give the strength and the willingness. The willingness is the biggest part, is has to be willing to put the work in.
Yeah. Well, you say, yes, God works through you, but the whole confusing thing that us men struggle with is God gives us a choice. And all along, what a lot of us men can struggle with, and not just men, women, anyone, is their own self-righteous pride. Back when you were dealing drugs, that's why I said you probably did that really well. You probably ran the streets really well, because when you do things, you do them well, but you can start to fool yourself into thinking that you're all that. Mm-hmm. Right. And so for you to have enough brokenness that you finally go, man, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm really screwing things up. At this point, you got 3 kids, you got some busted relationships, marriages. And so then you start to drop your guard and allow God and the Holy Spirit to start to work through you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually kind of where you and I met initially, of just working through some of that stuff. So obviously we're all work in progress, but where are you today with the relationship with your kids? And we know your 14-year-old, that's kind of been kept from you. But how about your relationship with God and just you trying to humble yourself and figure it out?
Yeah, it's tough that, that pride can kick in. And it's like, man, as soon as I think I just know something, I'm in a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I have a beautiful relationship with both my younger kids, and really it's trying to pass that faith along to them. Like that's the goal. And then trying, we did like a small group last night with some believers from old church I was going to, and it's all geared towards like family discipleship.
Mm-hmm.
And it talked about how many hours a day the world presses against our kids.
Yeah.
It's like how many hours a day are we pressing God into them, know? And but yeah, I mean, Tommy's 5 and Ari's 7, and they know about God. We pray together, and man, I don't know. Sometimes I really don't know what I'm doing, and I just
join the team on that one, right? Yeah, but so I think about that. That's a good way to put it. That the world's pressing in on them, and the world is pressing in on you. Especially when you lost your dad, and you had nothing to press back on. So that just means you accepted the way of the world, whatever the temptations, whatever path that took you, because you didn't have anything to push back with to say, no, I don't think that's right, or I don't know if that's a good idea. Your kids are going to be even pressured more just because of things like the internet and all of the different societal pressures. But you're starting to give them some back pressure, something that they can push back and test and see. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to get it right and be perfect. I mean, because they're going to have, just like you, they're going to have choice. They're going to have free will, right?
Yes.
But they're going to have a foundation that's going to look a little different than yours did. So, that's hopefully something that can give you and I a little bit of peace as we're trying to raise our own kids and figure out how to keep them from the train wrecks that you and I are talking about there. So,
yeah.
Well, Warren, I mean, here you are now. You're out. You're making a living as an electrician. You're supporting your family. You're just, I mean, in some ways, you're beginning to walk again, where because you were crawling and even down for the count, but now you're getting back. What would you have to say to any of the guys that might be listening that may be either in a similar situation or just doubting their faith and wondering if they're doing it right? What kind of words might you pass on to them?
I say, if you're father and you got kids, to fight for them, and if you're married, you stay.
Yeah.
And if it's doing great. If it's not, do what you can to reach out and try to save it, because in the end, the kids suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. Get help, right? Get help. And again, it's not just all on you. There was another side, right? There's the ladies or the wife or the moms of these kids. I mean, they also probably had a very similar lack of back pressure in their life. In other words, they didn't really know how to push back either. And a lot of times they were probably falling into the same stuff that you were falling into. And that's why you have all the wreckage. So, it takes two to build that marriage, but also, it takes two to wipe one out too. So, yeah, so both of you getting help.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. We're starting to lose some daylight here.
Yes.
So,
it's getting dark
but
out.
since you got all the electric shut off in the house, we don't have any lights in there anyway. So we're kind of in a bad way. But I want to thank you. And, I do greatly appreciate just the work that you've been doing you and I have been hanging out a little bit, and just I really think that you have a genuine interest to give your kids an example of a dad that you didn't have a chance to have. And I just want to pray and continue to support whatever you're doing there. So.
I appreciate the opportunity, to be able to share what God can do.
Yeah.
And, if anyone's out there struggling, just, my story isn't special or unique.
Yeah.
It's God will do it for anyone. Just leave God there and Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, so we hope that you were able to pick up something here out of our Strong Dads Doing Real Life. And so if there's any way that we can help you at Rock Solid Families, please reach out to us. You can get us at 812-576-7625, or just go onto our webpage at rocksolidfamilies.org, and you can see all the different things that we're up to, and hopefully we can help you out. So that's all we got today. You need to get back in there and turn on some electric. Don't get shocked. Do a good job.
Clean up.
Yeah. Say yeah.
Later.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.